So happy New Year to you and your families. Now, I've been off a couple of weeks, and after watching news over vacation, it's very evident. It is transparent and it is clear that America is facing the biggest informational crisis we've ever faced. We have a duly elected president of the United States that is just truly hated by very powerful forces, and they have a united goal. They want to destroy the presidency and this president. It is so bad that the president, the first lady, can't even visit our brave troops in Iraq or talk to kids about Santa Claus without what is brutal character assassination, personal attacks, and just pure hatred. This is why we are introducing new segments on this program. We're going to call them Hannity Watch. We're going to have a Hannity Watch on media bias, where we will expose all the hate Trump news coverage. There's going to be a Hannity Watch on the economy, things and how they impact your family, your pocketbook. Hannity Watch on healthcare. What is best for your family? Hannity Watch on Hollywood, how they have an agenda that is both political and biased and designed to indoctrinate. We'll have a Hannity Watch on campus, where political correctness and indoctrination of our kids has gotten way out of control. We'll have Hannity Watch on the deep state. Prediction: huge, stunning news this year that will expose the biggest abuse of power, corruption of our own government. We'll have Hannity Watch on socialism. That means the push to destroy free market capitalism. Hannity Watch on national security, how to protect our homeland, and efforts by some to undermine these protections. We'll have Hannity on border security. We'll be watching there as well, as the country needs to stop the flow of drugs and human trafficking. And every night, we're going to be asking this question: is what we're talking about good for America? Is it good for you? Is it good for your families? Is it good for we, the people? Now, we plan to expose all of the hatred that is out there every day. People that hate our Constitution, people that would shred our Bill of Rights, First, Second, Fourth Amendments. Along the way, we're going to offer solutions to protect the interests of every American. This is not Republican or Democrat. This is not conservative or liberal. This is about what is right for this great country. So we begin. That's my mission, the mission of this show going forward. We want to look out for you, protect your family, fight daily to ensure this constitutional republic stays strong and vibrant for future generations. And sadly, that's at risk. We have powerful forces, and you can see them every day in society, that have now aligned to destroy the president that we, the people, have elected. It's a clear and present danger to every American, our Constitution, and our future. So we're inviting you each and every weeknight at 9 o'clock. I can assure you, and I promise you, there'll be no other show on television like this. And I hope you tell your friends, and I hope you'll join us. All right, tonight we start our Hannity Watch report on the hateful forces that are determined to destroy Donald Trump and his administration. Let me be clear. They hate this president. And they also, deep down, they hate we, the people that voted for him. They can't believe we made that decision. You don't believe me? All right, just listen to long-serving Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson. This just happened yesterday. Take a look.
Americans elected an authoritarian, anti-immigrant, racist strongman to the nation's highest office. Donald Trump and his Make America Great Again followers, who want to return America back to a time when white men and white privilege were unchallenged, and where minorities and women were in their place. Much like Hitler took over the Nazi Party, Trump has taken over the Republican Party.
These types of ignorant, hate-filled analogies, they're happening every day. And when they're not comparing us to Nazis, well, remember, we're the smelly Walmart people, as FBI agent Peter Strzok called us, or the irredeemable deplorables that Hillary Clinton called us, or remember when Obama referred to us as the bitter, angry Americans that actually cling to our God, our guns, our Bibles, and our religion. Now, many of these forces are forces of hate. We know that many hate the president. They hate we, the people. On this show, we are not going to be hating them back. Instead, every night on this program, we're going to be exposing them and what is the corrosive politics of division. And this is what I call the 5 major forces of hate. You have the Democratic Party. If Donald Trump cured cancer today and gave every American millions of dollars today, everyone, and they'd still try to destroy this man, as he represents to them the biggest obstacle to them regaining power. Second, perhaps the most obvious haters in America, we have the hate Trump media. It's now on TV, every newscast, every second of every minute of every hour of every day. A never-ending, nonstop Trump hate fest. It's on a loop. And newspapers in this country, they're actually trying to outdo each other, showing how much they hate Trump the most. Now, when has the media ever told you about these things, for example? This is what Hannity Watch is all about. What about the president's successes the last 2 years? What about the accomplishments that are scrolling on your screen that we're showing you tonight, night in and night out, things they never talk about? Don't expect the mainstream media to show this report from Real Clear Politics. Look at this, detailing the president's top 10 accomplishments of the year. Promises made, promises kept. His successful appointment. He promised a guy like Brett Kavanaugh. Last year, he got it done for the Supreme Court. Or the squeeze on China for unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft. That's changing. The middle class wage increase, the highest in 12 years. The middle class that the Democrats claim to care about. The U.S. Mexico-Canada trade deal, ending the Iranian nuclear deal, all promises, top accomplishments 2018. When he moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, smashing ISIS, increasing jobs, the lowest numbers, unemployment numbers for minorities, keeping members of the migrant caravan from pouring into the country. And we can't forget, this is my favorite, America is now the largest oil-producing nation in the world. Not Russia, not Saudi Arabia, the United States of America. And that doesn't include the pipelines being complete. That doesn't include Anwar. That's going to be millions of high-paying career jobs for our fellow Americans. Now, third, forces of hate, the deep state. We already know Hillary Clinton committed multiple felonies. She violated the Espionage Act with top-secret classified information on a private server. We know she obstructed justice. We know she destroyed subpoenaed emails, erased hard drives, broke up phones and BlackBerries and iPhones, etc., with a hammer. We also know powerful people in the FBI and the DOJ purposefully rigged the investigation to give her a pass that nobody else in America would ever get. That is not good for America. That's what we're asking tonight. Is it dangerous? The answer is obvious. Now, all of this allowed Hillary to continue her pursuit of the presidency. Remember, they thought she should win $100 million to zero. It allowed her to funnel money into a law firm, hire an op research firm, hire a foreign national, use dubious Russian sources, collusion, to create a phony debunked dossier on Donald Trump. Well, that's the collusion I guess they were looking for, but don't want to find. And we, of course, have the Russian lies. Never verified, never corroborated, then disseminated to you, we the people, before the 2016 election to influence the outcome of that election in her favor. And those same Russian lies, never verified, were then used by top people in our intelligence community, in the FBI, in the Justice Department, to get 4 FISA warrants to spy on a Trump campaign associate both before and after the election, all signed off by top officials. Here's a question tonight. Is that good for America, or is that dangerous for America? When you have fraud perpetrated on FISA court judges repeatedly, no arrests, no report yet, nobody held accountable, the media ignores the biggest abuse of power, corruption scandal in modern history. Now, if this is allowed to continue, the United States of America will become a banana republic. We might as well shred the Constitution because it would be rendered meaningless. The principles of due process, equal justice under the law, equal application of our laws are similarly rendered meaningless. The deep state has been and is out to destroy the president. They hate the president, and they're doing it by any means necessary, obviously, and that's based on what we know today. And, of course, item number 4, we have weak Republicans. They hate the president. They only care about themselves. They stand for little. They have no courage. We also have never Trumpers. Number 5, they hate the president. They just want to say, see, we were right, you were wrong. You non-intellectual, blue-collar, hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding Americans, you did this to us. No, they're trying to undermine a free and fair election. Now, imagine if any American tonight, like Robert Mueller, scrubbed the phones of Trump haters and Russia investigators Strzok and Page. Clean, wipe them clean. Imagine if, like James Comey, that you bragged about tricking a 33-year war hero into an FBI interview by bypassing all normal protocol and procedures that you would use in past administrations. Imagine the deputy FBI director telling General Flynn he didn't need a lawyer and then charging him for lying. Now, on this show, moving forward, we are looking to protect you, protect this great country against forces of hate that would shred our Constitution. This will be your show. We will be your watchdog. We plan to expose all of this corruption, all of these lies, all the double standards when we see it. Oh, you mean like hypocrisy when Democrats supported building a wall and don't any longer because Trump wants one? We're going to expose that there really is hate in America, real hate. And that hate, these aligned forces are trying to destroy the president. They hate the president and they hate us for voting for him. They hate traditional core conservative values that we hold near and dear to our hearts. Now, I'll admit this one-hour news program, to be very blunt, this show will be an island unto itself. There will be no other show like it, I promise you. We are dedicated to protecting these deeply held American values, these principles. We're dedicated to telling you the truth about what's really happening in the country. All right, now we turn. Our Hannity Watch on border security tonight. Look at this. A 5-month-old boy will never see his hero father again. Newman, California police officer, legal immigrant, Ronald Singh, viciously murdered by an illegal immigrant with a very long criminal track record and ties to violent gangs. Now, the county sheriff, Adam Christensen, said that this horrific crime could not have happened, would have been prevented, if not for California's catch-and-release sanctuary city status. Take a look.
I simply want to focus on the fact that this is a criminal illegal alien with prior criminal activity that should have been reported to ICE. We were prohibited, law enforcement was prohibited because of sanctuary laws, and that led to the encounter with Officer Singh. I'm suggesting that the outcome could have been different if law enforcement wasn't restricted, prohibited, or had their hands tied because of political interference.
Hands tied because of political interference. Sheriff Christensen is going to be with us tonight in just a moment. But it's very clear, California's far-left lawmakers, they're not listening to the citizens in their own state. We sent Fox News contributor Lawrence Jones to Newman, California, to see what Californians really think about that state's sanctuary policies. Remember, they have criminals that should be deported and handed over to ICE. They set them free. Take a look.
A lot of people are blaming the California sanctuary state policy. Do you agree with that?
I think it's the worst thing California's done in a long time.
I'm not the big wall person, but I think a sanctuary state is crazy.
Sanctuary city policy, it's the stupidest thing the Democrats could have ever done in this country.
We're going to show you more of this later in the program tonight. But sadly, what happened in Newman, California is all too common an occurrence. Over the weekend, a 22-year-old man in Knoxville, Tennessee, killed by a suspected illegal immigrant who swerved into oncoming traffic. Just before Christmas, 3 illegal immigrants were indicted for the murder of a man living in Long Island. So many lives have been senselessly lost at the hands of people who never should have ever been in this country, ever, on the federal level. Let me say these statistics really slow so even Nancy Pelosi, who doesn't want to fund a wall and protect American borders, she can understand. Since 2014, 51 murder convictions have been handed down to illegal immigrants, 228 federal assault sentences, nearly 20,000 drug trafficking sentences. On the state level, it's even worse. According to the GAO and their estimates, since 1964, 27,300 arrests for murder have been carried out by illegal immigrants. Over 120,000 sex offenses, nearly 400,000 assault charges, over 1,000 acts of terror. Here's a tough question, and I want people to fully understand this. If people keep getting killed, this 5-month-old boy will never see his father, the hero that got killed this weekend. Because we have people in custody, we know they're here illegally, they commit other crimes, we don't hand them over to ICE, we won't enforce the law and deport them. Well, is Congress going to pay to raise the children of those killed, like in the case of this California officer? Will Congress pay for the children's college education? Will they at least pay for the funeral? Because at some point, they bear some of the burden because these failed government policies are now aiding and abetting criminal activity that otherwise would not happen if we enforced the law, if we protected our borders. And Nancy Pelosi and her fellow Democrats, they are now willing to shut down the government to prevent even a partial funding of a border wall that protects people on both sides. Now, this wall is designed to give border agents more time to apprehend those that want to cross illegally. I'll be the first to concede, probably the vast majority, 99% of people that want to cross into our country, they're looking for a better life for themselves, their families, their children, and an opportunity that they don't have in their own country. I don't blame them. We have a right to know who is coming into this country. We support legal immigration. On New Year's Eve, you had 150 individuals, there's the video, attempting to break across California's border with Mexico. Again, rocks, other projectiles thrown at border agents. And keep in mind, those who successfully cross our border illegally, on average, if they get across, criminal justice system, educational system, healthcare system, it's costing we, the taxpayers, around $70,000 per person. Even top Democrats a few years ago realized the importance of stemming the tide of illegal immigration. Many of them sounded like Donald Trump. Take a look.
I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally. The American people will never accept immigration reform unless they truly believe that their government is committed to ending future illegal immigration.
Those who enter our country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law. And because we live in an age where terrorists are challenging our borders, we cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked.
Oh, they sounded like Trump, but now because Trump wants it, they don't want it. Make no mistake, this battle is important. It's about saving lives. It's about stopping illegal immigration and drug trafficking and human trafficking. The president must stay strong on his promise, get that wall fully built. They've started, but we got more to go. I personally would declare this a national security issue, and the commander-in-chief, from my vantage point, he could allocate $5 billion from the military budget and get the job done. If the government stays shut down, essential services, don't let the media scare you, that continues. Social Security checks will go out. The Coast Guard is on duty. Our military branches are on duty, and the people will be taken care of. But the cost of unfettered illegal immigration is too high. The risks are too great. How would you feel if you were a family member of this young officer with a 5-month-old son killed this past weekend? This is an issue literally of life and death. Those drugs, they're headed to small towns and big cities all across America. So to my weak Republican friends in Washington, hold the line, have a backbone, have a spine. You're there to serve the American people. We must give our border agents the tools they need, including the wall, so they can end human trafficking, drug trafficking, violent criminals, even some terrorists, or anybody else who plans to break our laws and hurt our fellow American citizens. We support legal immigration. On this program, Republican, Democrat, I don't care. We're going to call you out, especially Republicans, who don't hold the line and fund a border wall. This is worth fighting for. And by the way, the president's promise to have Mexico pay for the wall, well, wasn't Mexico ever going to write a check? And we got a Hannity flashback from then candidate Trump on the campaign trail. Take a look. You don't expect he's going to write a check, but what you're saying is that they will have to make concessions.
Well, there's many different ways.
So in other words, you don't expect Mexico to say, yes, Mr. Trump, here's a check for $10 billion.
That's not feasible. It wouldn't look good.
So you think the deals that you make with it will more than compensate for the wall?
Even if we tax them, we may tax them. Okay,
yeah.
It doesn't make any difference.
Now, that's a key reason the president renegotiated our trade deal with Mexico. We'll have more on this throughout the show. All right, let's turn our attention just briefly to Mitt Romney. He's not been sworn in as senator, and Romney is already launching a feckless attack against the president, following his op-ed slamming President Trump for so-called character and leadership issues. Well, the RNC chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, his niece, tweeted, well, for an incoming Republican freshman senator to attack President Trump as their first act feeds into what the Democrats and the media want and is disappointing and unproductive. Our friend, the great one, Mark Levin, issued an even dire warning, writing, it's clear Romney will be a destructive force in the Senate, playing to the liberal media, which will praise him and seeking to create a pathway to the presidency. And I'll add, by the way, and I supported Mitt Romney, that's the same media that brutalized him in 2012. It's sad that he has more interest in cozying up to those people on the left that hated him than sticking up for protecting American citizens. Record low unemployment, American energy independence, securing our borders, issues he says he claims about. Especially the Democrats continue to pursue this radical left agenda. In 90 days, you will know how left they are.